Learn to love it because it is the best thing going.
Welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast, along with my partners, Brian Siegler, Jonathan Talley, and Shelton Moss. I am Curtis Wilson. As always, we are brought to you by Moments on the Maury. Looking for a weekend getaway, but still trying to make it to Blacksburg for the game? Moments on the Maury might be exactly what you are looking for. Owned by a proud Hokie and located just outside Lexington, Virginia, with a little over hour drive from Blacksburg. The place gives you fishing, kayaking, or just relaxing by or in the river with a nice, cold, refreshing beverage right out the back door. Check out the link in the comments. Click on the QR code. Also, don't be afraid to visit their Instagram page, Moments on the Maury. Gentlemen, it's been a couple weeks.
It's been a few, man. Everybody was on vacation.
And we went to all different areas of the country.
Blame it on the drink package.
I mean, literally every single thing you can think of, we hit. So, Shelton, I'm going to start with you because if folks don't know, Shelton went completely off the grid for 10 days.
More or less, yeah.
All right. So I know you had kind of mentioned to us, and I think you mentioned a couple of times on here. So how was the experience in, basically the far western part of the country with, just nothing?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I did 43 miles of hiking total, little kayaking too, wilderness camping. So it was great. Like I loved being out, kind of doing like a social detox. I kind of realized that we really don't need as many things as we have in life. Phones, computers, the comfort of our homes. I know I managed pretty well camping for the most part. So it was great. I was in Oregon, Washington, two states I'd never been in before. Hit up Idaho, Montana as well. So kind of did a big loop. I think I drove like 1,100 miles. So put the gas numbers in. But it was beautiful. I mean, some of the most beautiful country I've ever seen. I got to see Washington State University. And I also got to see University of Idaho. Went to the Kibbe Dome, which is
you went down there. You hit the reset button, recharged, feeling good. What's on the agenda this fall for you? We know your big ones in the spring. What's the agenda this fall? What are you covering?
Yeah, well, as fate would have it, I'm actually going to be in Blacksburg on August 28th that weekend, the weekend before the season opener for football, covering William & Mary volleyball. We're playing a tournament up there in Blacksburg to open the season. So just like we did for baseball, I'll be coming up to my alma mater and rooting for the opposing team. But we do play the Hokies, I think, on Saturday. So if anyone's in town, if anyone's in Blacksburg, want to come catch some volleyball, I think everyone should have a free weekend. So come down to Castle and catch some volleyball.
All right.
There we go, baby.
So volleyball. He is into volleyball.
Yep.
Volleyball in the fall, baby.
I am hoping that the schedule is friendly to you, where you don't miss a game. I know you're always good about going back and watching them, but nothing like watching a game live.
Exactly, man. And I should be at the Maryland game. So I'm sure we'll probably have quite a pretty good Hokie representation up in College Park, I would think. So that should be. I think we should try to turn it into a home game for us. I think we can do it.
I think it can be done. I truly, I'm with you on that, Shelton. I think it's highly possible. It could be a lot more maroon and orange than red and black. All right, there's what Shelton's been up to. Tally, I think you went the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I did a social detox as well. I couldn't use my phone out there on that water for about 7 days. I couldn't catch up on anything. I'm glad it wasn't, no bad news. No news is sometimes good news. So went on a 7-day cruise. We went to the Bahamas, Grand Turks. So kind of all over the place. Had a good time. It sucks coming back. You know what is the worst thing about a cruise? When you get back home and you realize you have to clean your room and you have to cook your own food is the worst feeling in the world. Like, I should just be able to pull up to a buffet 24 hours a day and get whatever the hell I want to eat, sit down and eat it, right? No. When you get home, you got to cook, You got to clean. I just need to go hit this lottery in Tennessee. It's like 900 million, and hey man, we won't work no more. We'll just spread that money out and go build us a compound or something. So had a great time. I'll be headed up to the Georgia Tech game this fall. May catch another game. I was thinking about the Clemson game, but that's back-to-back weeks. So definitely, I haven't been to Blacksburg in like 3 years, 2 years.
Oh yeah, it's 24. Yeah,
yeah. So
3 years this year.
Yeah, so felt like I need to get up there to a home game. So was able to get off for the Georgia Tech game to be able to kind of go and check it out. So I'm excited about that. Brian will be there. We're trying to work Curtis and Shelton in now, so we'll see how that goes.
Yep. All right, I got a quick question because the loop you sound like you took with the cruise, where did y'all come back to in the Bahamas?
You said where?
Yeah, for two spots.
Yeah, so we went to Nassau, and then I think it's Freeport is where Celebration Key is, like Carnival's port. So I think it's Freeport. So that's where we went and then came back.
Gotcha.
We left out of Orlando.
Nice. Big ship.
Yeah.
Celebration Key. My mom went last fall. She loved that place. She loves Celebration. Cool. I've heard it's
cool. Good time, man. I recommend everybody do it at least once. Try it and see what you think.
And I like by the way, Sheldon, it's cruises are social detoxes, but you still have to be social with people. Yeah. You literally do not have phone app. If you ever
social media detox.
Social media detox. You can still see what's going on with the news and stuff, but same. I didn't have my phone the whole time while we were there.
They didn't even play the soccer games on the boat. They could, for some reason, they couldn't even play the soccer game. So it was people, some people got the internet package. I didn't get it. So they were running around, kind of telling each other what was going on. But I was like, pass me another old fashioned. How about that?
There you go, brother. Brian, what you been up to, man?
Man, I've been here and there and everywhere, man. Feel like it's been the summer of trips and quick overnights and getting to see family. So man, we've been kind of all over the place, but finally staying put a little bit this upcoming weekend and gearing back up for things to get going after that. Wyatt's birthday's coming up in a couple weeks, so it's been a busy summer though. I know we haven't had as many episodes this summer as we'd like, just because I think everybody's been kind of running around, man.
Not as many episodes as we like, but that's sometimes a good thing when it's not a lot to talk about. That's kind of what you want the summer to be, because if you're having to talk about things, it usually ain't good. If it's June 3rd and it's like, we have to talk about this tonight, like, oh, that sucks, because I feel like that's the way it's been. Tried to, and clearly, it seems like from what we've been communicated, the guys are on lock. Like they don't want to screw around anymore. Like they want to win. They kind of blocked out the noise. So it's time. And because believe it or not, as of today, fall camp is officially open. I'm sure everybody saw the hype videos and the guys coming out. I'm sure we're probably going to get some press conferences later this week. It'll be interesting. Probably more so of who's there, who's not there. It's going to be interesting to see the access that the media is going to be given. But we're also 1 month away from the games. So, and let me ask y'all this. I didn't throw this for y'all, but we know who's been banged up and things like that. Is there one person in particular you've got to hear, like you do not want to hear the first time we hear James Franklin speak, talking about, he's still limited. He's working through some stuff, through all the analogies. Is there any one person that it would, I'm not going to say completely gut you, but just kind of maybe hurt you to say, damn, like he needed to be healthy now. Like he needed to be healthy.
Starting quarterback.
Yeah, but he's been okay.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
Oh, you talk about out of the people that's hurt. Or
We know that has been hurt. Yeah.
Oh,
If he,
okay.
dude, if he come up and say the starting quarterback hurts, I don't know what's gonna happen to a lot of us.
I
Anybody?
don't know.
Can I
What you
throw a
got,
name
Tyler?
out there? Can I throw one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you who. Jaquez White. Because a lot of people are high as shit on this cornerback room. And last thing we heard from him, he's almost back. And if I hear that come, I'm assuming it'll probably be Thursday. We'll have to talk to a couple guys and figure out when they're going to do the first presser. But if Jaquez White's, he's still working through some things. I still feel okay about the cornerback room, but I don't feel like it's where I want it to be. That's one person I can say right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with what my boy Will the Thrill said. The defensive line, the defensive end. What is it, Sam Okinawa or whatever his name is?
Yeah. I know you.
So
The guy from Colorado.
Yeah, him. I mean, we need some production on that line. It don't matter how good your secondary is if you can't get no pressure on that quarterback. So anybody who's had some production or anybody who is gonna be productive, we want them in the lineup. So I would like him to be full go and ready to go. So we'll see how that shakes out.
I mean, I know we got, some offensive linemen that are trying to get full go. It sounds like everybody's full go, but I'm interested to see what Logan Allen's going to look like in there. So got to put him very high up on that list.
Is he is he our best offensive lineman on paper this year?
It's maybe.
I mean, he has the most experience, right?
Well,
Yeah.
technically,
I mean, Altuner and him are about the same. I think it's in terms of number of games, and I guess Johnny Garrett as well. Johnny Garrett's probably got the most games, but
well, I think it's more when we think about him. It's a lot more of it's the you see he basically got Wally pipped last year. He was going to be the starter for Oklahoma. If it went 5 games and he didn't screw his shoulder up, and he basically the kid that came in just dominated him or just dominated that spot. So, so and at that point it's going to sound crazy, but in this era, if there is a kid that comes in and steals your spot, you don't get your spot back anymore.
Yeah,
that's just the era we're in.
It's true, especially if that guy is in a
good
equal or lower class than you.
Yep, and the kid was. Shelton, do you have anyone that you can think of injured spring or been working through things that like you just feel like I don't want to hear their name? God, if I hear their name, it's gonna hurt.
I mean, not specific. I would just say like anyone on the O line, because I mean, we've got a bunch of new guys, a bunch of guys that didn't play much, last year, a bunch of young guys. I mean, I'm just looking through obviously we talked about Hallen, Bell, Terry, Troutman, just some unproven dudes. So I feel like, I mean, granted, every team in the country, 90% of teams in the country would say if you lose an O-lineman, it's going to be a big deal just because there's not depth. We just have a lot of unknowns there. So anyone blocking, I'd be very, very concerned about.
Yeah, and that is the thing. I mean, it's going to happen, but there's just certain spots you don't want to hear. And Sheldon, you're 100% right. I don't want to hear any offensive lineman injury, none, because it needs to get figured out pretty quick. And the way the schedule lays out this year, you have 2 weeks to figure it out if you still have camp battles going on. So I look forward to hearing that first presser. I look forward to analyzing it if I have time. But, time's not of the essence right now for me. I'm busy with doing a lot of things. All right, I want to hit this next. The Hokies were picked to finish 8th in the ACC media poll. Some people got upset. Some people said, bleep, screw this, these guys are idiots. How do you vote them this way? So I lay it to y'all. And I started with Tally last time, so I'm going to start with Brian this time. Is 8 too high, too low, just right?
I don't have a super big problem with 8. I mean, I could, you could say 6 or 7, and I'd feel probably about the same way about it, just because I feel like outside of the top 3 or 4 in the ACC, there's not a lot of gap between that like 4 or 5 spot and like the 12 or 13 spot. So, there's not a big gap there between those teams. We've seen a bunch of different polls that have Virginia Tech as high as 6, as far as power rankings in the ACC preseason. And, we've seen them drop as far back as like 10 or 11. We've seen a lot of those other teams that are in that cluster that are, have the same situation depending on who's throwing the rankings out there. So, I know we saw, I think Tech Sideline did something similar with the rankings. And I mean, it kind of shook out about the same. So, yeah, I think 8 is fair enough. Like I said, I'd probably put them maybe 1 spot higher, but I can live with 8.
You live with it. Sheldon, what about you? 8 too high, too low, just right?
I think it's just right. First, and given how bad we were last year, I don't think there's anything to be insulted by it. If you look at the top 4, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Miami, SMU, Louisville, Clemson, those are the big dogs. Georgia Tech, a little bit weird. I think UVA is also a major regression candidate just because of how many close wins they kind of pulled out of a hat last year. I think they're going to fall down a little bit. NC State's pretty hit or miss, and then obviously us. So we're kind of right there with Pitt and Duke, which I think is fine. I mean, and especially in today's age with, like, first of all, how big the conferences are, the fact that you're playing such a small portion of the league. Like, I don't know. I'm guessing the media isn't really taking into account strength of schedule. They're just kind of ranking who they think the best teams are, but that's not really the way you can do it because of how much variety there is in the schedules. Just playing a smaller portion of the league, and obviously now you got 8 games for some teams and 9 games for other teams. So I just, it's not like outside of like the first couple teams and the last couple teams, there's a ton of variance here. So I think it's fine. I think obviously we got a talented team, but it's pretty young. So I think it's 8 is about where I put them.
All right. Tally?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Sheldon. I would have said 8th or lower, to be honest with you, just because there's so much unknown. But how horrible we were last year and how horrible we have been, I don't know how I wouldn't have been mad if it was lower, just to be honest, because we got to prove something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been too many years where we haven't done anything. So, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with 8, like I said. But if they would have put us at 10, probably wouldn't have said a word either. So,
all right.
Curtis,
Well,
what do you got on that?
I think it's too high. And you know why? We haven't done anything.
yeah.
And you know what else? I need a James Franklin to slap on the board 14, boys. They think y'all were 14 out of 17 teams. Because I think that's the kind of stuff that gets him off. I think he's going to somehow figure out 8 is too low. 8, middle of the pack? How are we the middle of the pack? I think I say that, but I think that tongue-in-cheek, I want it to be lower because I want things to be slapped on billboards. I want things to be slapped in locker rooms. I want conversations to be had amongst teams to get certain things rolling. But if I'm saying out of that context, I think they got it right.
Yeah.
For the simple fact is, yes, we were, 14th, 13th last year in the ACC. There's only a couple teams worse than us. So, yeah, we were bad, but with everything that's happened this year, you bring in a proven winner like James Franklin, and then it's that whole raising the floor, right? Raising the blue chip ratio. If y'all hadn't seen that, I think we're 5th in the entire ACC and somewhere like 26th or 27th in the country now in blue chip ratio, which means high quality prospects are now on the team. So, okay, yeah, that makes sense to go up 6 different spots. And I can live with that. I got to put this on here real quick because we missed it earlier. At least I missed it. Yes, Robbie, we know you have been at practice for a week now.
Yep. Yeah, we Curtis hit Robbie up. He's like, "You practicing?" Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, we practiced for 3 days."
3 days. It's like it's not even August yet. What in the world? So
Gotta get that practice in, man. The game's coming up before you know it.
it is. It's not a lie.
Well,
It's
them
coming
high
up
school
real
season's starting earlier too. So
Yeah.
earlier and earlier every single year. So yes, Robbie, we care what you're doing. We know we know you're working hard. Robbie don't ever stop working. Man goes to the field house every single day. All right. So another thing I wanted to hit up. Well, first of all, yeah, that's kind of real football we're going to talk tonight because we're going to go ahead and tease this. Usually we do one night, 9 guests, insane amount of guests. Well, we've occasionally missed people because things didn't work out. As y'all know, we all like to talk. It always goes over. So
54 hours.
54 hours. We start at 8:30. It's like Shelton's peacing out at like 11. Like, I'm going to bed. Y'all can keep talking. I'm going to bed. Okay. A couple years ago, if y'all remember, one of our good friends and definitely Hokie podcast, then I'm not sure if he's been doing it lately. I remember the night Don V is like 10:15 and Don was just like, I gotta go to work tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
so we're changing things up for the panel preview. So starting next week, in 3 concurrent weeks, we're bringing individuals in just to talk about certain aspects of the Hokies. Obviously, a lot of these guys, next week we're going to have Pete D from 2 Deep, and we're going to have Dan from the Tales from a Pterodon on. 2 weeks from now, from Hokie Hangover, Mike McD. And from Tech Sideline, David Cunna. D. Cunna will be in the house with us from Tech Sideline. And then the last week of the 3 panels, we're going to have Grayson Winbush, huge Hokie, our West Coast Hokie out there. And as always, someone we love having on. We talked with Dwight Vick is going to be joining us as well that week. So 3 weeks of panel. Shelton was super excited. When we said we wanted to do this, Shelton was immediately like, yes. Let's do this. This is much better.
he's like, no 2.5 hour marathon.
No marathon. Like, even if we go 90 minutes, I get to bed by 11 o'clock. So we're going to start that next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday night. That's something that also I wanted to say for the fall. Tuesday or Wednesday nights. Occasionally maybe a Monday, just because we all work. We all have lives outside of here. Sometimes things take precedent, but Tuesday or Wednesday nights we will be with y'all.
Yeah, most likely Tuesday, but could be a Wednesday. Just like tonight, it's a Wednesday.
Tonight's a Wednesday. Or if someone pings on Sunday after the game, my kid's got a baseball game at 7:30 on Wednesday or Tuesday night. I'm not making it. All right, cool. We'll go Wednesday night then. Or Shelton, I've got volleyball on Tuesday night. We're going to go Wednesday. So
got to be flexible, baby.
We are flexible. We're a flexible podcast. And remember, you can always listen to us on your favorite podcast source or YouTube. You don't have to stream us live. We love you streaming live because we love getting it here. Like Robbie's, he got 2 scrimmages. Got a game on my birthday.
Come on,
Happy
man.
birthday to me, Robbie. All right, let's get into some other stuff, some more, some fun stuff, some college football related stuff, some Hokie related stuff. So I don't know if y'all had the opportunity to catch the Brian White interview with Bill Roth. I did. Good interview, good questions. But the one thing that he said that seems to caught everybody's ears was he said it is going to be in the plans for the Hokies to host more concerts at Lane. Obviously, the success of the Metallica concert, I think a lot of people question, can they pull something off with 66,000 people for a concert, not a football game? Football games on a weekend, things are more available. Clearly, Brian, you went down. Shelton, did you go? I can't remember. I'm old. You didn't go.
I was
Other
down
people.
there.
You were down. I know you were down. They pulled it off. It wasn't a clusterfuck. So they proved they could do it, right? Which is awesome.
And they retrofitted the stadium to get the big equipment in there. So they can handle pretty much Anybody that's doing stadium tours at this point, they can handle what they need to bring in the gate. So,
all right. So with all that being said and all that hullabaloo, I want to ask y'all this question. We're going to start with this first. Give me one personal. If they could get them to come to Lane, who would you want to come to Lane Stadium for a concert? This is personal. This ain't business. This is, I want them there because I like them, because I drive to Blacksburg and I'd see them in concert there.
Who's going to lead off? Tally, I'll let
Drake.
you go first. Drake.
Drake.
Okay. All right. Brian?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Oh, Sheldon's like,
Sheldon's like, Brian, you go. All right. Man, personally, it would be really cool to see like a Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers combo in there. Bonus if you can get the full Kentucky connection with Chris Stapleton, like just do a little Kentucky menage a trois there.
I'll go watch Chris Stapleton now. I like that dude.
all right, so Sturgill. God, I'm just. This is how. Long
Hey! Don't tease me, Will.
Shelton.
Yeah, honestly, man, I'm not too much of like an individual musician type, but I'd say nobody's gonna know who this is. But two friends, they're an EDM duo. I like EDM music, so I think it'd be pretty cool to hear that in the acoustics of Lane Stadium. So I'll just go with them.
All right, back on me. One personal one. Because I got the two commercial, Brian. Like the personal one was always going to be tougher for me. I got the list of the genre of music of mine from. Just go look at my Amazon list. You'll think I'm a twisted person overall. But because I didn't get to go to it the first time, I'll cop out here. I'll sing Metallica again.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I didn't get to go to it the first time.
Well, that's going to happen, Curtis. You're going to get that wish.
Yeah, but Metallica's probably going to be back again.
Definitely again.
So like,
just because of the whole thing and then seeing how the first time it was. But now, I need you to put your brains together and start thinking, all right, we in Blacksburg, Virginia. We know where we are. We know our fan base. Which two ones you know are going to make the money? Give me two artists or concepts or something like that you say, just put that person in there. It's going to be 66,000. Yes, I did steal the Metallica one because we know that will get 66,000.
To me, it's kind of twofold because two things got to happen. It's got to be someone that is willing to play Lane for whatever reason, and it's got to be someone that at least has some degree of following in Virginia in general and Southwest Virginia specifically. Now with that kind of primer put on there, the top one for me was something that we kind of got a little bit when Something in the Water got canceled a few years back. Give me Pharrell and Friends featuring the Clips. That's what I want to see. I think that would be a big draw. I think that would do some numbers. I think it would be good. Kind of a mix up genre wise from some of the other things that we've seen thrown out there a lot. But it would still kind of, give you some of that Tidewater flavor. I think it'd be big.
Give me a second one.
Second one. I'll go Foo Fighters on this one.
Okay.
Give me Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters.
All right. Shelton. Again, this is commercial success. You're trying to rake $8.6 million in one night. So
yeah. I mean, I guess Morgan Wallen would kind of be like the default.
Of course.
Yeah, that would be
never heard a song by him, but I know that stadium will be sold out.
It's true.
Yeah. I'd probably lean country just because like I feel like that's a demographic you're kind of gonna get. Although I think Foo Fighters is a good one. I'm trying to think of maybe some older country artists. Like people have said George Strait. I know he did Clemson a couple times.
He did do Clemson, and that sold out. I think he would.
The biggest one he did was down at AMU, A&M.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Texas A&M. Yeah, he did. He got like 100,000 there. It's pretty great. I'd say you pulled George Strait. All right, Tally.
I know they're gonna sell out, but I gotta say it. I mean, he's from Virginia. Chris Brown and Usher. I mean, they're going crazy right now.
But
I gotta say it.
That fight could sell out.
Yeah, I think
because it's a Virginia boy, and Usher's got enough of a following.
He's a Virginia kid, and you got so many places around there where I think people. I mean, listen, if they can sell out in Birmingham, the murder capital of the United States, people probably will go to.
They'll go to Lane.
And then if I had to, to really just make some quick money, probably somebody like a AC/DC or something like that.
Yeah,
I think people would definitely hop on seeing that in Lane, just classic rock group, maybe like a Motley Crue or something. But I'd say AC/DC probably.
Yeah.
I've seen people throw Oasis out there.
Oasis,
Who?
yeah. I mean, they sold out Oasis, 90s British band. All right, I got two. First one is just an easy one everybody would get. Kenny Chesney would sell out like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like that. He's from Eastern Tennessee anyway. Obviously, he's been around close to 30 years, and he's now got this. It's weird because he's one of these guys that, like, I listened to when I was a kid, and I listened to him all my life. My kids have listened to. That's a good one right there. Throw up Wills real quick. Like, that's a real good one. Chili Peppers. And then my kids listen to him, and he's got at least one or two songs. Like, if you play it, someone will know it, regardless of what they listen to music genre-wise, because he's got that sort of level. I'm not saying he could be Jimmy Buffett, but the vibes he does with some of his island music, that would be one. But this is the one I think that would, like, encompass everything. Because he's doing it this year. A Post Malone show would sell out, and you would get every single creed, you would get every single genre probably leading up to it. Because he's done everything. He's hit country, he's got hip hop stuff, he's got pop stuff, he's got rock stuff. I'm trying to think. I know, like, Old Jelly Roll was one of his openers this year. Old Jelly Roll.
Shabuzi.
Yeah, and was it Shabuzi this year? But there were a couple other people that weren't like associated with country this year. Who is it? Oh, I've got to find it here. I had it up earlier. I lost it.
I could also throw in. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead. I'm looking it up.
So I just remember. So when my sister was at Tech back in 2015, I believe before the Ohio State game, they had a Brad Paisley concert. So I think that'd be a good one too. I think honestly, like any 2000s, 2010s country, like if you could get an artist that was kind of like big enough from that era, but like not too big to where they would blow us off. I think that'd be a pretty good fit. I think there's tons of really good country artists that would be a sellout lane.
Who is this? Don Toliver.
Yeah. I don't know if Don Toliver would sell out.
No. I'm saying for Post Malone, literally, it's been Jelly Roll, Shabuzi, Don Toliver.
Yeah. Don Toliver's like it's not really rap. I wouldn't call it rap. It's more like kind of an R&B style of rap. So.
Okay.
But he's got some big songs.
So that's what I'm thinking. Like a guy like Post Malone, you really hit the genre you can think of, and would probably draw a bunch of people. So I look forward to seeing it happen. It's because we are, Phil. We are old. So, all right. But it's a cool thing to think about, and I think if you see Brian White's track record, like Shelton has mentioned numerous times on here, if you didn't read his article about Brian White, go read it. He's going to make that happen and go.
Yeah. I mean, Longwood got her.
Longwood got her. Long time ago.
Longwood got her in 2007.
Yeah, we'd have to pay her a lot. Now, is it 07 or 08? One of those years. I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
it might have been 08. It might have been 08.
She won't legal then either. That's how long ago it was. Because she was still like 16 or 17. It was funny.
I think like Tim McGraw was the only song on the radio at the time. Maybe a second single. I don't know.
All right. So I want to ask y'all this next. Let's talk about something that's been kind of popping up everywhere this year. And it's everybody in the world has been talking about jersey patches. A ton of teams have been getting different corporate deals. For example, Notre Dame, 6-year agreement with SoFi, like $20 million. Ohio State, $17 million for JP Morgan Chase. We see all those and laugh because Big 12 absolutely screwed the pooch on theirs, which, with the Monster Energy thing. So do y'all think we're sitting here, we're a month away, do we have time, do we have time to get one for this season? Will we get somebody, again, it's money. That's what it is. As crazy as that sounds, do we have time?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't gonna say we don't have time, but I just don't think that they're gonna rush and get it done.
Yeah. I also don't know like when the uniforms are ordered because you'd have to order a whole new. You don't have to order new uniforms, but it does take time to get all the logos on. So and get those stitch-ons. Like I don't know. I would think if they had it, it'd probably be done by now. I would say.
Right.
So maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, but the whole thing is, do you think stuff like that would already be leaked if it was?
I mean, Doug Bowen would probably be on the case.
It's very true. Doug, if you're listening tonight, go find something back in the background about this. Yeah. I ain't got $3 million every year to pony up to put the patch on something. If I did, I would. If Tally hits the lottery, he'll call James in the morning and say, "You're gonna put this on here for $5 million this year." So
put that patch on there.
Put the patch on there. All right, we're gonna hit it up. We're gonna get back to some Hokie talk. All right. I don't know if Tally, I know you know about it, so. We discussed it at the end of last season. Stuck with D-Connor. Mike Young has been extended 1 year. So not the 2026 to 2027 season, but 27 to 28 season. He get 1 year extension. The buyout did lower a couple million to $2 million.
I just think, I'm not gonna complain, because I think that that's the direction that the athletic department has to go, because they're putting so much into football right now, and all of the aura that is surrounding football, that they don't want to shake anything up with basketball. Because Mike Young is a likable guy. He wants to be there. I don't think he's a bad coach. I just think he's outdated. I think it's just, how long can you coach and still be effective, without changing a system? So I think that they don't want to make that change yet. They don't want to cause any ruffles in basketball. They want to try to see if they can make the football thing work, and if they are able to get some funds that will pass over to basketball, will it help him? They want, because I'm sure he's lobbying for his job, saying, I'm underfunded. Football was underfunded, and that's why they couldn't win. So y'all got them some help. So, depending on what football does, if it, trickles down into basketball, give me a little bit of help here, and I can make some things work. So I guess that's probably what my thinking is why they're doing that. But I'm not a fan. I'll just say that without going too deep into it.
I mean, I'm right there with you as far as like, I think we saw this kind of coming as soon as he wasn't fired. You can't really have like a lame duck head coach heading into the season. So I felt like this was kind of inevitable. And to tally your point, I mean, with the investment going primarily into football, I feel like it's going to be a couple years before basketball starts reaping some of those benefits downstream. And so you don't want to get in a situation where you're firing a head coach and now you got to, go into the bargain basement to get the next guy. When, Mike Young's already doing it probably for less than the average coach is anyway. And you know that his floor is still pretty high, even if his ceiling isn't where we want to be. It's kind of funny though, like some of the most successful Mike Young seasons have been with guys that in one way or another followed him from Wofford and a couple good pickups in the transfer portal. I feel like just the high school recruiting in general hasn't been great. I know we're moving kind of away from that in the basketball sense altogether. There's a lot more success in the portal in basketball than I think we've seen kind of across the board in football. It's been a little more of a crapshoot in terms of getting the right mix in there. But we'll see how it goes this year. I'm more optimistic about this cast than maybe I have been the last couple of years, certainly 2 years ago, but it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to put on the floor this year with Mike Young still in there.
So real quick, this was correct. Better assistants in Chester got a big raise.
Yeah.
Sheldon, what about you? What's your feeling on this?
I think it made sense in the context of where we are as a program. Obviously, they're not, not spending massive amounts of money. I think it kind of makes sense, like what Brian said, to not have a lame duck head coach. As far as the state of the program goes, I think they've done a good job building out the assistant staff. I will say, even though they did not sign a high school recruit this year, we're essentially a portal program now. I really like the additions we've made in the portal. Some pretty good signings there. A talk from Oklahoma is one of the big ones. Obviously, getting Hansberry back is huge, along with Hammond and Tyler Johnson. And lo and behold, the Hokies are ranked number 33rd in the preseason projections according to T-Rank. That is not a 33rd in the country. Yep.
30.
Yep.
We've got some margin for error to make the tournament then, if that holds.
Yep, and Whoa. 5th in the ACC. So I don't know. We'll see if that holds true. Obviously, it's preseason, so we can talk about the SEC ESPN bias. Maybe there's some VT bias in there as well.
The James Franklin bump. The James Franklin bump.
Yeah, we got a James Franklin bump there. I love that.
Yeah, but no, I do think it's a reflection of like they've gotten high production transfers in the program, and I think that's what the analytics are responding to. So we'll see how it works out, but I think they've made some pretty good additions.
Curtis, before you go, just because Shelton said that, I just thought about something. When somebody said the James Franklin bias, I have not heard Penn State fans going off, which I've been out of town a little bit, but I have not heard Penn State fans going off about James Franklin and recruiting for like the last month. They've been kind of quiet over there. I think they got their feelings hurt when they can start getting all them decommits and stuff. So
there's still a couple guys chirping. But at this point, we also got a couple guys that are like, hit me up. Hey, you want to do some sort of joint pod at some point this year? I'm like, I don't know. We'll see how this thing goes.
Why?
Let them calm down a little bit.
Other.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still going to be chirpers. I mean, whenever we get that first loss, there's going to be a whole lot of chirping. It's going to come.
Just wait till the big game. My brother, we just trying to win the little games right now.
We just trying to beat Maryland on the road and
trying to beat
win those other games in the ACC.
We trying to be
supposed to win.
We trying to beat ODU, man. Like, what are you talking about?
Y'all don't know where we've been. Y'all don't know where we've been. That's the whole thing.
We're okay with taking just a small step this year. We don't need to. We don't have to jump to 10 wins to be satisfied this year. We can take a nice little step forward and be okay with that.
Well, in hell. We've been in
Tally
purgatory.
said this a couple times. I'll get back to the Mike Young thing, but to that point, we've been lost in the desert for the better part of 10 years. Like, just lost. Like,
We've been twirling
like,
this mountain.
oh, he
man.
sucks. Like, motherfucker, we win 9 or 10 games. We win 8 games. We're gonna be like,
We'll burn the city down.
it's like,
People know how to act.
it's like coming out to it. It's gonna be like Shelton coming
What's
out
8
of the woods
wins?
after 10 days.
We haven't seen this
what?
since
What is going on here? What is
2019, man. And even then, like, the way that season started in 2019, we were fucking in the
lucky
gutter.
to get to 8. Oh my god. So yeah, but to the Mike Young thing, and we talked about it. I mean, months ago, but it's like when they didn't extend or they didn't fire, it's like, well, you got to do something. You can't have a lame duck. Like, you can't have a lame duck. Could you do a coach in waiting? Sure. But you know what?
That's the only way you can do a lame duck is if you have a coach in waiting.
Coach in waiting. But the other thing was maybe it was that whole, well, how much can we pay? What can we do to extend? Let's go to the lowest common denominator at the end there and say, okay, here's your extension. You're going to lower your buyout $2 million. So if you do suck this year, it's going to be easy to fire you. But on the other hand, if he comes up and as Phil, I don't know where it is, but our buddy Phil put on here, chicken shit, chicken salad, chicken shit.
Yeah.
He's done it before. He almost did it last year. I mean, like, I'm sure Shelton has the metric out there of like the unluckiest loss. Well, that's true too. Well, never gonna let you do it, Phil. Never gonna let us sit in here and do the committee on it. But like, we had to be the unluckiest team last year in the country. Find that metric, Shelton. I know you've got luck metrics out there. We had to be the unluckiest basketball team in the country.
Were we unlucky or were we bad in the last 3 minutes?
SMU hit a half
Probably a
court.
combination.
SMU hit a half
court
court
shot.
If they win that game, they probably
bad.
get in. Yeah, it's true. That's
horrible.
Luck. That's luck. That's dumb freaking luck. All right. Shelton's looking it up here.
I am looking
Yes, I agree, Chris. We're trying not to suck anymore. Because the honest truth is, 3 of the gentlemen on here, we started in 95 where it wasn't sucked for 20 years. We were babies in middle school, man. And we went to having – the funny part is we sit here and we kind of laugh about this, but legitimately, right? We went through our teens, our college years, getting married, having kids. Our college football team didn't suck.
Yeah.
It didn't suck. We were shouting, look at me. It's the truth, man. Ain't it?
And I mean,
from the time we were like 13 or 14 to the time we hit our mid-30s, our football team did not suck.
And now our kids are asking, like, were
Why?
they ever good? What's going on? Why they keep losing?
Why you root for that team? Out of all the teams, why you root for that one? I don't fucking
Get
know.
on come sit down, son. Let me tell you a story.
I'm sure Tally has a harder time explaining it than we do.
100%. I'm tired of explaining it.
Tally was like 10 on the board, be like, see? That's what I'm used to.
He's like, born and raised in Alabama, Virginia Tech fan. I'm doing this for me.
I'm doing it for you. It's all for you, Tally.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit this up real quick before we kind of get into our last topic. It's going to definitely take a couple minutes. But if y'all did not notice, I'm going to pull it up here. Oh, man. Hold on. If y'all didn't notice a couple weeks ago, ESPN, basically they did FPI and they released their wonderful strength of schedule. And, well, on the strength of schedule list, the top 10 were Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Florida, Ohio State, and Texas A&M, and South Carolina.
That's a lot of SEC.
That's a lot. That's half the SEC right there.
SEC.
And we were sitting here, and it's like, well, wait a second. First of all, I want to let Brian get on this first. Hey, Brian.
Hey,
how do they know who's going to be good? Like, how are they doing rankings?
They fucking don't. They don't know shit. But what the problem I had with some of this is that, you know, I think someone made the point was like, why is the SEC, why is so many SEC in there? Because they play the toughest schedule. How do you know they play the toughest schedule? Because they have the best players. And just because you have the best players and the most draft picks, like those are the two metrics that people keep throwing out there. And at the end of the day, Indiana won the championship.
Miami played for the national championship.
Miami played for the national championship. I mean, and that's not to say that they don't have NFL caliber players and they don't have good recruiting classes, but at the same time, like, you've got to still, what happens on the field has to matter more than what's happening on paper. And I get that at the start of the year, all you have is paper, but I think a lot of times things like this are good for selling ads and good for selling hype, but they don't really mean anything. And the problem that I have is that it also, in a lot of ways, colors their perception of things that end up mattering later because of how all this hype is generated at the start of the year. I mean, even we saw it with, to get out of the SEC, we saw some of that with Florida State at the beginning of the year. A lot of people, gave them gas after the Alabama win, and then, by the end of September, they were out of the top 25, and they had an awful year. They were not a good team.
Nope.
And you still ended up getting Alabama in the playoff, regardless of that bad FSU loss. And it's just, there's a lot of downstream things that happen because of some of these preseason shenanigans that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, Brian's always hated preseason rankings. Brian had a good one there talking about the players. This is the one I got. It's Cougar Stats. This guy blew up. Who has the strongest strength schedule? Well, the SEC. Why? Because they play a bunch of SEC teams. How good are the SEC teams? Really good, because they play a bunch of SEC teams. How do you know if the SEC teams are better than teams from another conference? They're better because they play more SEC teams than any other conference. That's literally what they're doing. Like, literally, it's like you're making up numbers. You're literally making up numbers. And Brian still stands on his stump and says if he ever becomes a commissioner of college football, we will not get a ranking until we are 4 to 5 games in season. Because I beat the number 2 team in the country. They're 1-3. I don't think they're the number 2 team in the country anymore, brother.
Look, and ESPN is, like I said, ESPN is selling ads and they're selling hype for the season.
Well, they're selling what they have the most money in.
Absolutely, but also, but in general, they're selling hype, but they are selling hype that they have the most investment in. But at the end of the day, so much of this colors the perception of some of these other things that do matter more. Some of these official polls that color how the committee reviews things as we get further into the season. So I wish anything that had any of that tied to it, I wish we could hold off at least until first weekend in October before we even start having those conversations, once teams have actually put some product out on the field and we actually not necessarily know who's good and bad, but we at least kind of have an idea of where the margin for error is once we get outside of conference play.
True. Sheldon, I want to ask you, Callie, I'll let you put your thoughts here last, because you are in the data and you are in the analytics. And does this make you mad from that perspective of literally they're trying to tell people this is the hardest schedule, and it's like, on what data? We don't have records, we don't know who's played who. Does that ever upset you? Because it literally is skewing. And if the Nationals are playing, I didn't know if they were playing tonight or not.
They are. I'm abstaining from the Nats. They've broke my heart too many times.
Sound like Virginia Tech. Sound like the Hokies.
Yeah.
But what's your thought on it? Just from someone who you like data and analytics, you really dive into it. But when they put something like the FPI out right now, and it's what are you basing this off of? Who they brought back? And then you go out and talk about, again, it would have been fine if they're talking about, here's the FPI, here's this and this. Oh, no, here's the toughest. Here's who has the toughest schedule this year.
Yeah. I'm going to take a slightly different angle. First off, I would say, so the rankings are from FPI, obviously. FPI is not considered a great ranking system among the analytics people. It's just not very thorough, and people much smarter than me have explained the reasons for that. You guys know I'm a big SP Plus guy with Bill Connolly. He does work for ESPN, but he developed his formula over the years when he was working previously for SB Nation. In my opinion, I think it's a gold standard for rankings of college football. His rankings will come out a little bit later. I think he does a really good job. My position would be somewhere in the middle. I think the SEC's depth overall is about as good as it's ever been, and I think they certainly took a step back last year. I don't think there's any debate about that. The Big Ten had a better overall conference record against Power 4 teams, and obviously won the national title. I think the thing for the SEC is that Bama and Georgia in particular have kind of fallen off comparatively from what they were, that it's kind of affected the perception of the conference. If you want to talk about top to bottom in terms of, not having bad programs and just being strong in the middle, I think the SEC is perfectly fine. I just think that they do not have the big dogs at the top, which kind of creates an effect where people perceive them as kind of, falling off so low, when in reality, it's just that the Big Ten is kind of taking the lead at the top, obviously winning the last 3 national titles. So all of that to say, I do agree the rankings are a little bit suspect. I'm not a fan of FPI. I'm very eager to await the SP Plus rankings, which will come out hopefully in a few weeks. But it's basically what you did last year, your returning production, account for that in the transfer portal. Again, I just don't know how FPI does their formula. But again, everything I've heard from people who study this would say it's not the best. It's not the best system we have. So hopefully that answers your question.
Curtis, I'll jump on that a little bit, because one of the funniest arguments that kind of came out of this was somebody had said, like, the old argument used to be the reason the SEC dominates in the early 14 playoff and in the former BCS was that they play such a monster schedule, and so that they're battle hardened and ready to play in that type of format. And now the argument is that, well, they're tired and worn out from playing the SEC schedule, that they don't play well in the college football playoff. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be battle tested, and now all of a sudden that the format's shifted just a little bit. Now you're just worn out from playing this arduous schedule that doesn't have you ready to play these teams in the ACC and the Big Ten.
Yeah, but I think the portal's definitely going to be a equalizer. For sure.
Yeah, always. It's going to be.
And NIL. I mean, with NIL, you don't have the guy that's the third string defensive tackle on Alabama just sitting back and waiting for their turn anymore. They're like, okay, well, I can get paid and I can play right now over here.
Yeah.
And that with the portal at having that flexibility has certainly been a good 1-2 punch to kind of, even the playing field a little bit and get some of that depth stacking that the Alabamas and Georgias were doing kind of out of play.
Yeah, no, the portal is a great equalizer. When you talk about, I can't remember if it was Brian or Shelton that was just saying the teams up top was, kind of the juggernauts that we remember. But then you think about, Alabama being in the championship and going from their starting quarterback to their backup quarterback to win the game. Yep. Those days are done, for the most part. Like, that backup quarterback is going to be at another school getting paid and playing. It doesn't matter if it's East Texas State, different things like that. But they just can't stockpile talent like they used to. So it's a little bit different. But also, kind of going off what Brian said as well, the argument about, that battle tested. And, man, every week, whatever team gets on the field is going to have a chance to win for the most part. When you're looking at Power 4 schools, we went and played South Carolina, not saying that's some juggernaut, but game could have went anyway. SEC is supposed to be so great. They're supposed to dominate everybody. It's just different now. But the people who do the rankings, they're going to put those teams at the top just because that's where the money is. Until people keep kicking them in the teeth. Go listen to Kurt Cignetti, what he had to say about it. He can hold back. Cignetti don't care about that. So that's just how you got to be, man. That's how teams have to be. That's how coaches have to be. But he can walk that. He can talk that talk and walk that walk, because He's in the Big Ten, which is, a lot of people consider the best conference now. His team won the national championship last year, so he can talk that. But with a coach like James Franklin, he'll do the same thing. I ain't saying he's going to go win the championship. I'm just saying he'll go and compete against those teams because he can have the horses to run with them. So hopefully we'll see, a uptick in our performance so we can have some of those sound bites that Signetti put out. I'd like to see James get out and have some of those talks. I'm also looking at Phil and Chris go back and forth.
Chris going back and forth, yeah.
Going back and forth in this chat, man.
That's coming, y'all. See, y'all joined late today. We're going to be talking about that the next 3 weeks, a little bit of everything in the next 3 weeks with panels. All right, let's close it up tonight. And I know this isn't, well, to some people it may be fun to talk about, to others it might not be. To me, it's interesting because of what's going on with just college sports in general.
That's what I'm saying, Robbie. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Don't kid yourself.
They beat Virginia Tech. Why not? They can beat Alabama too.
Yep. All right, so I want to get into the Protect, Save College Sports Act that's been going through. If you haven't been paying attention, which again, I get some people try to stay away from anything to deal with politics, anything to deal with coming out of D.C. That's fine. But this is important for what's going on in potential future of college sports. And Shelton, I'm going to just give you the floor. Shelton has been really deep into this. He's been looking over the bill. He's been reading articles. For us, thankfully, thank you, Sheldon. Sheldon basically gave me, Tally, and Brian like a 2-page synopsis on what's going on with this bill. So it kind of helps us figure out what's going on. So, Sheldon, I'm going to give you the floor kind of. Let's start with where we are time frame wise, because I know personally reading, they thought this had no chance to get passed before the Senate session closed. It looks like that's not the case right now.
Yeah. So it looked like it, from what I was reading from Ross Dellinger, it looked like the bill had made some modifications and then it got past cloture, which is basically the procedure used to, in the debate and actually force it through towards the next stage of the process. So I don't know exactly what the full process is, but it's definitely making its way through Congress.
All right. So what was the big change? Because basically, the SEC and the Big Ten, like a month ago, were basically saying they were out. They were not going to support the bill. But what do you think? What do you think changed the most in what happened? Because obviously something happened last week where they're for it now.
Yeah. So the big change really was that to get the Big Ten and the SEC on board, there was a big increase of the salary cap. There's some caveats to that, but obviously you got the base cap of $21 million from revenue share, which schools share directly with the players. Add in a $22.5 million retention pool, which is to retain your own players, kind of like bird rights in the NBA, and then another $5 million for women's and non-revenue sports. So obviously, the Big Ten and the SEC want a bigger cap because they can afford to pay for it. Which is the main reason why they decided to support the bill. Obviously, you couldn't really do anything about that just because the Big Ten, the SEC, they have a lot of representation in Congress, the states that they're in. So they are kind of running the show here. Obviously, if you raise the cap to $1 trillion, then nobody's ever gonna get in trouble. So, but that's what they want. They want more money because they can afford it. All right. So if I could kind of give, I sort of broke this into 4 parts, 4 different groups that this bill will impact and kind of, divvy them up one by one. So first off, for student athletes, the big thing for them is the NCAA would now have the ability to enforce transfer and eligibility rules. So you get 1 free transfer. Second time, if you want to transfer, you have to sit out a year. There's some exceptions to that, like coaching change, or if there's some issue of harassment or a sport gets cut, things like that. Pro athletes are barred from returning to college. There's also a national agent registry with commissions capped at 5%. So agents can no longer extort high agent fees from the players, which I think we would all agree is a good thing. Then there's some other very important player protections, which I think are very important. Obviously, it says that they do not want any schools pressuring students into certain majors or barring them from internships, seeking opportunities outside of their sport. Cannot revoke scholarships for athletic reasons, which is technically on the books, but there's some murky area in there. And then also guaranteed medical coverage, 5 years post eligibility. All that stuff is good. I could go on a long rant about how the NCAA has kind of, I would say, taken advantage of athletes in some of those areas. But that's a story for another day. I think it's a good thing that those protections are in there to protect the student athlete experience. And then for coaches, the big thing that which Curtis I mentioned before the show, the Lane Kiffin rule. This is a prohibition on coaches leaving before their team season ends. Obviously, Kiffin decided to depart for LSU in the middle of the year last year. LSU gave him, Ole Miss rather gave him the boot, created a big controversy. I think this will definitely have an impact on bowl season, just because of how many coaching changes there normally are during that time frame. So I'll be very interested to see how that all plays out. But that's a big one for coaches. Now for programs, I just mentioned the increase in the revenue sharing cap. Again, there's a big retention pool, so it's incentivizing schools to retain their own players, which is good. And then NIL deals from school affiliated sponsors and multimedia rights partners count against that cap. So if you have an MMR with, say the Ohio State Buckeyes, whatever their collective is, they cannot just funnel money massively as a way of circumventing the cap. That all counts against a team's revenue sharing cap. And then the last agency being affected here is the conferences. So a couple of things for conferences. There is a limited antitrust exemption allowing schools to pull media rights if 75% of the FBS schools agree. Now, I should note that number is very specific. There are 136 teams in the FBS. 75% of them is 102, and 102 is exactly the number of schools that are not in the Big Ten and the SEC. So it just works out perfectly that theoretically the school could outvote them to have revenue sharing for TV deals, but we will see if that comes to pass. And then also they cap Power Conference membership at 19, and any program moving away from one power league to another has to become independent for 5 years, which is obviously going to be a very big chilling effect. Now, for wrapping up here, what are the implications of this in my view? First off, I think you can wave goodbye to the dreams of any school getting into Power 2 that is not named Notre Dame. Obviously, the Big Ten would love to have Notre Dame, I think. And they would be the number one target immediately. But schools like FSU, Clemson, I think they're very much out of luck just with the cap being the way it is. It is very financially punitive to go independent for 5 years. You lose all that TV money. I don't know any school that would want to do that. It's kind of crazy that they put this in that put that in this bill. But again, that's a big favor for the SEC and the Big Ten because they just do not have to worry about that. And then also the other thing too is, traditionally whenever schools have violated the rules or a player or coach gets charged with violating the rules, the NCAA might do a little slap on the wrist, or maybe just kind of look the other way. But now I think what changes the dynamic here with this bill is that now if you're breaking the rules, that is you are violating federal law. That doesn't mean you're going to jail, but the NCAA now has the full force of the federal government to enforce their rules. So really, we're not going to see a ton of that, at least theoretically. I'm sure schools can probably find some way to finagle around their cap, but it's going to be a much more stringent enforcement process. A couple of concerns, most notably, this bill does not address the issue of employment. Some people have said that student athletes, at least in football, certainly some football players will be employees within the coming years, which I think is kind of an inevitability. That bill does not address this at all, which was a big concern for Democrats in the House. There's also the issue, some legal people that I read on Twitter brought this up, the private non-delegation doctrine. What that is basically is that it says that Congress is not allowed to delegate legislative oversight to private entities because they theoretically would not be held accountable if they have the backing of the federal government to enforce their rules. So there's some murky legal area in that, but I would say we still don't know exactly how athletic departments are going to be interpreting these rules, imposing sanctions, who's holding them accountable, who's providing due process, who's providing review. That stuff is all to be determined, and there's also some questions with regard to enforcement and state law preemptions. So all of that to say, it is definitely a big, big bill. I think it does kind of split the difference between, balancing the rights of student athletes with the obligations of schools to want to maintain enforcement, have kind of some semblance of order. Regarding the question about red shirts, I think that was from Chris Lester. Red shirts are done. It's just 5 for 5 straight up. You have 5 years to play. A couple exemptions for that, like pregnancy and joining the military or going on a mission, religious mission. But that's it. 5 for 5, and you're done. So yeah, I've got obviously some thoughts about this that may not be entirely popular, but I just wanted to kind of lay it out there and kind of put my journalist hat on for everyone to kind of absorb. This is a big, big bill, and it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, it's making its way through Congress, and there's some pretty optimistic feeling that this could get passed pretty soon.
I think the one question Phil put up top here, and I'll kind of rephrase it a little bit, but are they going to give the NCAA? Are they just going to basically become an arm of the federal government around college athletics?
Yeah, I think that's the concern I brought up with the non-delegation doctrine, because apparently there was a similar issue with horse racing where the federal government was giving private entities the power, the fully backed government power to enforce rules. That is a very tenuous legal debate, and it's currently being debated, I think, in the Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, there are absolutely going to be challenges to this bill legally. Don't think that it's it's all like we're done. We're the college sports has been saved. There will never be any more litigation again. There will absolutely be litigation. I just want people to know that.
The only benefit of this litigation is that you're just going to be working your way through federal court instead of having
state
20 or 30 different lawsuits in 15 or 20 different states that have their own interpretations. They have their own biases depending on, what they're working with.
Tech. Just say Texas Tech.
Yeah, just look
say Texas Tech. Say Texas Tech.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're still going to there's still going to be bias in the process. There's always some degree of bias in the judicial system, unfortunately, but you're at least working through just the federal courts if this is what goes through. To Shelton's point, I think the biggest thing that wasn't addressed is, number one, how you're going to handle any of the student employee issues, and number two, not really having any sort of student athlete weighing in this process. Like, this was a bill that was fully developed without student athlete input. I think there was some that were negotiating this bill that had their concerns in mind, and some of those were addressed, particularly some of the things that Sheldon mentioned in there with ability to transfer, the agent registry situation getting capped at 5. I think those are good benefits for the player, but I think there were some other concerns that I think players had, and I think moving forward, when we talk about where these numbers fluctuate in the coming years, they don't have a seat at the table for any of those negotiations.
Well, that's where it also going to get. It was mentioned in the chat by somebody, okay, are we going to have a union? Are we going to have a collegiate sports athlete union in the future? That could happen.
And that could be something that turns this back into a state case, because it's not going to happen all at one time. It's probably going to happen state by state.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. There are pieces of this bill, right, that make the most logical sense long-term for the health of collegiate sports. It really does. This probably should have happened 10 years ago, but I like what I think Chris said it. Yeah. They normally don't give a shit until money's involved. That's sometimes what's wrong with things. Like, money has to get involved. People have to start getting paid that weren't getting paid before. And it sucks in that sense.
Well, the problem is also, the NCAA
there are people
getting
getting
themselves
paid,
in a lot of ways. The NCAA brought this on themselves because
the
money was rolling in, and they're like, well, we're gonna
do shit.
We're gonna keep this thing, the gravy train, moving as long as we can, and not be proactive at all in trying to figure out what the long-term sustainability of this thing is going to be. And then once their hand was forced, they're like, all right, well, here's this little loose framework that, we basically have to do because this ruling says so. Have at it. And that's not to say that it wasn't something that needed to happen, but it's something that should have happened gradually over the course of 15 years, not all at once.
if not 25 years. Tally, what you got to say? You've been quiet on this.
Exactly what Phil said. I'm ready for the games to start, so we ain't got to talk about this bullshit. That's what I need some. I need some games. Listen,
I agree.
the excitometer is on right now. Let me tell you how excited I am. Last year, wasn't going to no game. Didn't even purchase a ticket to go to a game. Hey man, I'm already locked and loaded, ready to go to a game this year. I've already got my Hulu Live turned back on this month. First thing I see when I get on Hulu Live is a college road tour there at Virginia. I turned it back off. Excitometer for me is at a 10. Brian, where you at? Scale of 1 to 10. How excited are we about the season?
This is as excited as I've been in a while. I'm gonna go like 9.5. Like the only thing that I'm like a little hesitant about is like I don't know what to really expect from this team. Like I said, I think I know where the floor is. I just don't know where the ceiling is. So I'm like, I don't want to get my expectations up too high and then get disappointed. So I'm like trying to temper that piece of it. But I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I feel like for the first time in a while, we've got a coach that we kind of feel really good about, and not just what they could do, but what they've already done. Like they've already proved that they could do it. I think that's something that we really haven't had. I mean, we really haven't had that in a really long time. I mean, because Beamer came in, he wasn't a proven coach at that point in time in terms of like running a major program. He just built it. Then we had Fuente, who came from Memphis. We had Pry, that had never been a head coach. I mean, we haven't had a seasoned head coach in the seat in a long time coming into Blacksburg for the first time. So this is something that's got my excitement pretty high. I like the moves that we made in the portal. I like what we've done recruiting wise, getting the talent base of this program raised up a little bit. I just got to see it on the field. So that's where that little 0.5 is. I got to see what it looks like on the field before I really kind of let it dial all the way up to 10.
Shelton, excitometer.
Honestly, man, I'd say 8. I'd say 8. I think
Pretty good spot.
for me, I think it's more so just the fact that like we're watching a team that has potential and we feel like we're kind of on the ascent rather than on the descent. Whereas, the past 5 years, we felt like we just had no direction. And I think it's gonna be fun to watch a team that's, really talented, but also pretty young, kind of go through some growing pains together and develop as a team. Obviously pretty easy schedule early on. And hopefully they can kind of build confidence throughout the season. But I just think it's finally fun to where I feel like we're finally building to something. Whereas I felt like in the past, we're just aimlessly kind of walking around, crossing our fingers and hoping that, things will turn out the way we want them to. But we have direction now. And I feel like we've been a very directionless program for the past 5-10 years.
No, that's a great way to put it. That's why I said 10 for me, just because of when I say excitement, it's not that, I just think we're going to go out and win 10 games. I think we're going to be so good. It's just the direction of the program is an upward trajectory for me. Chat, tell us what y'all think. Excitometer, where are you for the season? Where are you for Virginia Tech athletics, specifically football? Now we're going to throw it to Curtis. Curtis, excitometer.
Oh, the excitometer. Well, first of all, I think it's most of us. College football is my favorite sport, hands down. It's the one I watch more of. I watch every Virginia Tech game. I try to go to one, but I'm also the dummy that stays up at 10 o'clock to keep watching games. So my excitometer, even in the last few seasons, was still at like a 9 because I had hope. Let's do something stupid this year. But I'm with you, Charlie. This year it's a 10 because it's going to be high regardless. But when you talk about what we've done this offseason, who we hired, the players we brought in, the money that's being invested, and then the last few days you had ESPN do their little pre-release. We showed up 3 times. We won 3 games last year, and we were on there more than some programs that won like 10 games last year. That got me hyped. And if you have not seen the reel that they released yesterday with fall camp opening. That one, I watched it, and then I watched it again this afternoon. Right after I
social
finished mowing
media.
the grass.
I watched
media
it 3
team-
times back to back when it
Yeah, the
dropped.
social media team's been doing a good job.
They
man.
crushed it.
They've been snapping lately.
That song, it harkens me back to many moons ago, many moons ago. Seeing the clips, that song stood out as always because we were from Virginia, right? We were from Virginia.
I've seen it live, and
I have too.
I'd love to see it again in
I'd like
Lane,
to see
like I
it.
said earlier.
I'd like it to be part of the walkout music. If you asking me the truth, it better be part of the walkout music this year. But that's the bigger pieces, right? It's like you feel like everything is in an upward trajectory right now. And Brian, you're at a 9.5 because you got to wait and see. Shelton's more mild-mannered. He's an 8. I'm at a 10 because I love the sport, and I love that where we're heading in the sport right now.
Robbie said he's at a 7, Curtis. He said his heart's been broken too much.
Well, our hearts have always been broken.
Hey, man.
I mean, shoot,
Our hearts were getting broken when we were winning 10 games.
10 games and 11 games and being
Robbie,
number 3 in the country.
your heart was getting broke when you was coaching against David Wilson too. So, I mean, you still love that guy. You better put that 7 up to a 10, buddy, or at least to a 9. Make it respectable.
He said bring it up to a 9. And
But-
Curtis, you brought up a good point with the hype video. And I know Tally, me, you, Curtis, Chris, Dwight, we've been talking about it a little bit outside of this. Like, social media has been bringing some good tunes, man.
Oh yeah. The music has been on, man. The music has been fire, getting you ready. I mean, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's getting you hyped. You know, so
It's getting
I'm excited.
so absolute. All right. Y'all want to wrap this thing up? Sheldon, it's 10:30. Is it time to go?
Yeah, it's time to go. I was just thinking if you want to spend the next 5 hours talking about how much we hate the NCAA, I'm happy to do that. But
We
otherwise,
can do that. We can take the time to do that.
He was
But
ready.
if not,
We can do a
Let's
Sheldon
wrap up.
Boss Brian Siegler dissertation. Let's
yes,
lay it
for
out. man.
hours. Hold on, wait a second. You got to see this real quick.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Jeff King was no joke, man.
Yeah.
Jeff
Played
King.
defensive end, tight end. He was the punter and kick. I mean, bro was doing everything for Pulaski, man.
Pulaski. And man, let's not talk about Lee Suggs. Go message Jesse tonight and just put a picture of Lee Suggs up on there. Still got a footprint on the back of his head. No, literally, he played nose, right? And Lee Suggs literally
He trucked him and then stepped on him.
It happens sometimes.
especially if it's an NFL, the guy who runs for 27 touchdowns in college. All right. With that being said, it being 10:30, we are going to wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast, brought to you by Moments on the Maury in Lexington. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Jonathan Talley.
and I'm Shelton Moss.
Visit BoundaryCornerBT.com to listen to all of our episodes. Check the merchandise shop. Our buddy Corey Bryan messaged me the other day, bought the Stick It In shirt on there. Thanks, Corey, if you're out there listening tonight or in the morning on your way downtown. Don't forget to follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, your favorite podcast source, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, all of them. As always, we'll let our buddy Jason Long play us in, play us out. Check jasonlongmusic.com out. It'll link you to all of his music everywhere you can think of. Also, check out where he is playing live down in the Roanoke area. We appreciate y'all listening, joining us tonight in the comment section. And as always, let's go.
Hokies.